Well, the newest project in the shop is one that I'm very excited about. Now, Rob and Jeannie Hilardes, they're dairy farmers, and they have a collection of Duesenbergs. Now, one of my longest dreams has been to build a Duesenberg, because when you bought a Duesenberg back in the late 20s, early 30s, all you bought really was just a chassis, which is what is sitting here. You could have fenders on it, hood sides, but you had the firewall, you had the grill. And when you bought your Duesenberg, then it was taken to a coach builder, and a designer would design your body and the coach builders would build it. When they finished it, that was the year that it was registered. Now, Rob and Jeannie found this car, they bought it. The great thing about this car is the fact that this car was being restored in either the late 60s, early 70s. The chassis had been finished, but the body was over in another shop, and that shop burned. So the original Ralston body was destroyed. Somebody built a reproduction body. That's how Rob and Jeannie got the car. Now, I sent this to Luke DeLay, who's one of my metal shapers, and he took the car apart. We've got it here. Now I've got to draw this, dimension it, and start creating the drawings, because I'm so excited to be the designer and the coach builder on this Duesenberg. This car was originally purchased by a woman who was 25 years old, Mary Farney. They called her Madcap Mary. She got the car when she was 25, and she was the heiress of her grandfather's pharmacy company. When her inheritance was cut down, she started marrying men. She had 8 different husbands. She had 2 husbands at one time. One of her husbands came to a hotel where she was with her new husband. He was upset. She got away from him by hiding inside of a travel trunk, and they walked her out right next to her earlier husband, shall we say. But what I'm really excited about is the fact that I want to do this as if it were done in the 30s. Now, most of the cars, the Duesenbergs that were built, were really plain looking. And what I want to make this car look like is, I want it to look like a European designer got a hold of a Duesenberg and did it in that same time period. I'm excited to do it, in the spirit of Madcap Mary. She was also a pilot back in the 30s. She was in the movie Cleopatra by Cecil D. DeMille. There's so much history to this car. We want to do it right, and I can't thank Rob and Jeannie Hilardes enough for allowing me to build their dream and at the same time make one of my dreams come true. Thank you. Duesenberg was a race car enthusiast, and he built a lot of race cars as well as his production cars. But at the time, we had not come up with a V-series engine yet. So to get more horsepower, they were just putting more cylinders out in a straight line. This is an 8-cylinder. Later, we came up with a V8, which shortened it up, and we were able to start making cars a little smaller. When you look at this, this is the size of a truck, but this was a luxury car back in its day. And you couldn't get anything more luxurious than the Duesenberg. You know, one of the unique things about Duesenbergs is the fact that they didn't have a production body that you just saw the same thing over and over and over again. There were a few that they had designed bodies, and some of the customers said, I want the same, the same body. So the coach builders built, maybe several of a design that they had done. But what you got to see with the Duesenberg was each one was very unique, and you could have a car that had a chauffeur and you just rode in the back, or maybe it was just they had 2 different wheelbases, so it could have been a short wheelbase, and you got a 2-seat sports car this size. But that was the uniqueness of a Duesenberg, was that every car was its own original. When I build a car, I always want people to know what it is. So I will retain the original grille. I will change the hood side. I want the fenders, the very front of the fenders, to look like the Duesenberg fenders. We're going to use the same lights. Unfortunately, I don't have lights on the car right now, but I want those original Duesenberg lights and taillights and the bumpers. I don't want to change that. I want people to know when they see this, it's a Duesenberg. But what designers and coach builders did in the day that you could buy this and produce it brand new is they designed their own body and form and they built it. That's what I'm so excited about here. I hope to build something that is just absolutely beautiful and not so square like most Duesenbergs are. I want it to look more European and almost kind of mid-30s looking. So as if somebody bought this car in 1934 and it was just the chassis, but then it was designed based on some influence from Europe, which is much more voluptuous, elegant, flowing lines, and not just a fender with a flat running board and a skirt that's hiding the frame, and then a body that has a very flat bottom, comes up almost flat on the top. That's the way most Duesenbergs looked. There were a few that kind of used the inspiration that I'm talking about, but I'm hoping to make this the most elegant, flowing Duesenberg that's ever been built. Now, as a designer, there are certain dimensions that I have to, this I'm not changing. This is exactly what we're dealing with. So there's a position that the driver and passenger will be in, and whether we were to put back seats in or not, those are the givens that we can't change. So this grill shell, this is the shape that the body starts. I will keep that, I can't change that. There's the firewall, but what we can do is build an extension on this and bring the firewall out or forward or back, complete this cowl. We could make longer, you could do a sub cowl and have the hood start from out here and go all the way to the front. Those are the things that are optional for me. What I want to do is a typical Duesenberg fender came over here, came down and rolled back, and there were running boards that bolted off here, were dead flat. What I want to do is make a fender that has got a lot more shape to it. I want to bring the hood back through here and start dropping it down through here and come all the way down with the body. So we're covering the frame with the body. The doors will open out here. I don't know that I'll keep these mounts yet. I've got to get this drawing done, get it on the table, start working with it. We may build a quarter scale clay model and then blow that up to build the buck, but it's the given points that we can't change, and that's what I have to work around. So I'll measure it, get quarter scale drawings on the table, start drawing it, show those drawings to Rob and Jeannie Hilardes, and working with them, we'll build their dream car. But it's a Duesenberg, and it'll stay a Duesenberg. And my hope and my goal is that other Duesenberg owners love it so much that if somebody has something that was rebodied, maybe they'll give us a chance to build another one for them. A typical long wheel Duesenberg, most of them looked something like this if it wasn't a coupe. They had a dual cowl, 2 windshields, so you had a driver in the front and the occupants in the back. But you see the skirt that's down below the body. The body is very flat, and the two-tone really helps to explain that. You've got a running board or a fender coming down to a running board and then another fender, but the body looks very, very flat. And what I want to do is have the body roll down to where the running board is. We'll have a shorter running board and bring that fender and the running board with some shape up into it, and then also a longer rear fender. I may even extend the frame rails in the back and pull that bumper out. I'll know as I start doing some drawings. But I can take this over and I'll show you a quick sketch of kind of where I think we're going to end up on this car, but it's going to be just a rough, loose sketch. I won't do any of the final renderings until I have everything done in quarter scale and I'm working over what I really have to maintain, what is actually here. Then I'll have some actual drawings and I'll know exactly what we're going to build before we even start. But sketches, that's the easy part. So I'll show you a quick sketch of what I have in my mind of what I'm hoping to do to this car. All right, so in an effort to show you what I'm thinking of doing on this car, I'm going to sketch what this car almost was originally from this model. And then I'm going to overlay that and start sketching a couple ideas for bodies. So starting out, I'm just going to put a ground line and where the wheels are. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back wheel, front wheel. That's about what that car is. So if I overlay that, I can see through. The wheels are staying in the same place. Steering wheel is staying in the same place. The body is not going to change so much there. Where that hood and the grille is, it's going to stay the same. Where the headlights are, and where the top of the front fenders. Now that rear bumper, the front bumper is going to stay, but the rear bumper may change. Where the bottom is not going to change, but what I want to play with is everything from here. The firewall is there, but I may make the hood side longer. I want to start by just making this fender much more voluptuous. And that running board will be painted with chrome strips on it. This front is so flowy, the rear needs to be a flowing shape as well. The car's going to look a lot longer when it's finished. Front of that door will stay in the same place, but I'd like to make it a little faster looking and a bit longer. As a designer, the first time I ever heard about the fact that Duesenberg just built a really fantastic chassis, and then that was purchased by somebody and then given to a designer that would design that body and fulfill that dream through a coach builder. That to me, when I first became a designer, I thought, wow, what a cool idea that would be. You know, with safety, demands and everything else through the government, everything has to be crash tested and everything else. You could never do that today. But as a designer, when I first heard about it, I thought that would be so cool. And I have always wanted to do one of these. So I was so excited when Rob and Jeannie Hilardi said, we would like you to do one for us. So, this has been a dream of mine for probably, I would say, over 30 years. And it's exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time, because so many people will be expecting this to be absolutely phenomenal. And that's what my goal is. So putting everything on paper first and getting it exactly what I want and what they want, that's number one on the entire project, is know where we're going before we go. Because it's just as expensive to build an ugly car as it is to build a beautiful one, and I want a beautiful car.